Doctors have been on strike for more than a month now. Conversation in the country is for how long will Kenyans continue to die in our hospitals. There's a story of a man who died as doctors were watching because they are on strike. Prof. Manyora tells CS Nakumencha, leave bandaging to medics, go home and try domestic cause. This is after the CS says what we want to do, what we do not want to do is as government to put a bandage on a wound without treating it. Prof, you also told Governor for Kakamega, Barasa,
yes.
If you can't control one witch doctor, how can you manage medical doctors?
Yes.
Getting over 100,000 viewers on that particular post.
Getting over?
100,000 in that particular post. Well, tell me, how do you see this situation that we have in the country and how our different agencies are trying to deal with the striking doctors?
The doctors have everything going for them. The CBA was signed and registered in a Kenyan court, very procedurally. All parties, including SRC, were involved. Governors were involved. Minister of Health was involved. So even just the idea of saying you have been earning 200 and we are taking you to 70 is itself absurd. It's not an issue you can want to discuss. Where do you begin discussing that? We could listen to them saying, gentlemen, we know you want more than 200, but for now we are not doing well. That's a conversation anybody can have. It's a conversation all of us can have. But who can sit down to listen to somebody say, the interns we are paying 200 should drop to 70. But even when you look at how they arrived at 206,000, that's not just a salary. There are things inside. How do you cater for those things within 70? That's why I'm saying, Nakumencha, she should just go home. It's not anything you can even defend. How?
Saying she should go to do her chores, do you mean, is this chauvinistic of us?
No, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying this job is too big for Nakumencha. And she's a lawyer like me. And she's a good person. I don't know her personally. I've never met her. I've never greeted her. We never talked on phone. I just don't know her. And I have nothing against her. Absolutely. But I'm just saying the job is too big for her. You cannot defend things like those. And I'm asking government, including the people in government, top there, you can say we are not doing well.
If you listen to county governments, the conversation is about them asking national government to give them money. Should our counties be that reliant, and how can we make our counties more self-dependent when it comes to dealing with issues like salaries for their counties? Because this is also a big conversation to see if everything that their counties need for them to work is totally dependent on the national government.
You see, everybody got everything wrong from the word go. First of all, we got it wrong at the constitutional level. 47 governments, national county governments, devolved units. There are too many to be economically viable. So you cannot ask them to look for money. Apart from those endowed with natural resources, like Narok with the Masai Mara and so on and so forth. The rest basically cannot raise any money. Less than 10 counties can raise revenue on their own. The rest cannot. That's number one mistake. So unless we correct that mistake, and I don't see us, we don't have the courage as people to do it, to create viable regions, about 12, the way people at Bomas said. Let's have about 12 regional governments. Number two, people have failed to know what it means to devolve a function. These people are just, the Minister of Health was there. It was handling these people. It was paying salaries. What is the problem now with the same people working down there, money coming from the same government to pay them?
Yeah.
Actually, counties should be dealing with doctors at just operational level. You have given us 50 doctors in our county. We have 10 hospitals. How do we distribute them?
Okay.
Because we are the ones who know where the need is. What kind of doctors should be where? That's a county should be able to do that.
Okay.
And indeed, Oh, I'm saying many people got this thing wrong. There are not that many government functions that can be performed in Nairobi, whether they are devolved or not. The only ministries whose functions can be performed in Nairobi are defense, foreign affairs, finance, and a few others. They cannot even get to 5. All other ministries, whether the functions are devolved or not, take education for example. To what extent can you run education from Nairobi? See, education is run from the village.
Yeah.
All functions of all ministries and departments, whether they are devolved or not, can only effectively be run down there. So it's a poor interpretation or understanding of the Constitution. Okay. That's why the Constitution said any level of government, one level of government can willingly give the other level a certain function to be performed. They knew that, the framers knew. You leave it like that, so that the national government can let all matters of education be handled by counties.
Okay.
So if we cannot handle a single one, health, how can we then implement the Constitution? The only way to implement the Constitution at the level of service delivery is to let all functions of all ministries and departments, whether devolved or not, be handled down there. Now we have only one and we can't do it. Health. That's where the problem is.
We look at the problem is in this payment for interns. I think this is what is causing a lot of back and forth between our doctors and the government.
Yes.
CS Moses Kuria comes and says all these people are students that you're seeing, the architects, the lawyers. Why only doctors? Why should they be the ones asking for more? And in fact, they're getting paid more. We go back to that conversation because it seems like government is not willing to accept that doctors deserve this 200,000 Kenya shillings. How would you talk to government?
You know, Moses Kuria is a bright man, is my friend. But sometimes he can disappoint. Many times he disappoints. You know, engineers are good people. They are our children. Nurses are good people. They are our children. Teachers, they are our children. All these are good people. Whether they got A or not. But each has their own, something unique about them. When somebody leaves their home, the office at 5 to go home, the office is behind them, is that right?
Yes.
But the teacher, anaenda na vitabu kumark. Wewe umetoka kwa ofisi unaenda kwa bar. Si umetoka kwa ofisi, umefunga kila kitu, tai umetoa, umeluze. Watu wengine wanatoa wanaweka kwa mfuko anaenda kwa bar ama mahali yake, ama kwa games, ama whatever they are going to do. The teacher, if teachers did that, there will be no school. Because teachers go with work at home. If a doctor went to the office at 8 and timed the tea break and went for tea break like everybody does, and then quickly, simu, hello, weka nyama bwana, weka kilo 2. Mimi nataka boil. And they left the hospital to go and take boil, like all of us do. And then at 5, they went home and switched off their phone. Patients will just die. So Moses Kuria, I feel like getting man slapping him. It's so bad. A doctor is on duty. That's why in those 200,000, there's call allowance. You cannot go to Bauju actually once a kunywa if you're on call. Anytime you can be called for an emergency. And sometimes that doctor being called to go to the hospital makes a difference between life and death to an individual. Maybe Moses Kuria's friend or something else or relative. They can't be the same. They are not asking, they are not saying they are special, but they are just saying for heaven's sake. Mina lala na macho moja imefunguka because I'm on call. I'm being paid for that.
I'm getting you, Prof. But the other question is, these are interns. Of course, we agree they work. But you're being told after 1 year of your internship period, you'll get a doctor's pay. And there's a guarantee that you will be hired.
Yes.
Why not stay for this 1 year and then get this job that
you know,
get?
There's a reason why there's an internship program. Okay? And it is standard almost across the world. There's a reason why interns are paid certain allowances. It's not from nowhere. Let people sit down. Let the government sit down and listen to experts. There are people like Inyikar who are in parliament. They know. They have taught medicine. They have been director of medical services. They have been PS. They know. Government can listen to people like Nyikal, telling them the history. Why do we have an internship program for doctors? And for heaven's sake, these are qualified doctors. They have just not been given a full license. They have an interim license. Why do we have an internship program? How are they treated? Why are they treated like that? Why do most hospitals have doctors' flats? You know, people like Nyikal are there. They can. If government can't listen to this kind of Davji or Patel or whatever, these young people, KPM, whatever, that is a very difficult name.
Yes.
If they can't listen to these radical boys, the kind of Lungas of the other day, why can't they call people like Nyikal? I sit down with them because Nyikal will not lie to them. He's a professional. He's been there. He's been part of government, rising to become director of medical services, and I think PS or something like that. He can tell them. Then they will be wiser. I like people speaking from an informed position. Then we can have a conversation. If the money is too much, that money is not one figure. There are various components in that 200. Let them point at the one they think should not be there. Let's say, okay, let us remove call allowance. So when you go home, just go and sleep. We will not call you. There will be no emergency that will be in, so you're not all. Fine.
Would you then excuse CS Nakumicha for all this? Because it seems like it's a whole government conversation about wage bill. She's a CS, of course, but this is a conversation from the top, from the president. Would you excuse CS Nakumicha when it comes to this specifically? Because she's not the one making policies for expenditure.
Why are you a minister? You must help government formulate the proper policies. That's why you are CS. Yeah, but what the difference between you and a clerk? If you want to say a minister is a clerk, then I have no problem. But a minister is supposed to be the source of policy. Help government come up with the policy. Is that right?
Yes.
So if you are not capable, then just go home and do what the things I said you can go and do. You can be a farmer.
So despite what we've talked about, the wage bill, this conversation, it's not about what government wants. It's about what the CS can come up with. Is this what you're saying?
The CS should be able to help government understand things better. And let me tell you this. Whenever you are genuine, there will always be solutions. And that's why I brought one name, Nyikal, because I worked with him. I know what he can do. And I listened to him, and I've been with him on TV, and I know Nyikal, and there are people like Nyikal whom government can trust to listen to for advice. You get what I'm saying? If you are sincere that there is actually a problem with paying 2,000 interns, and you came with a clean heart, with clean hands, with the professional input from experienced people, you can find a solution. You can say, okay, let us remove this burden from you. There is non-practicing allowance which doctors earn. So in any case, you as an intern, are you sure right now you can practice? Okay? We can open up for interns to do locum, even to practice, if you want, with the interim license. People get interim driving license and you drive. So, actually, this is just a doctor is qualified. It's just working under other doctors for the comfort of the profession. So do we feel we can remove non-practicing allowance from the 200,000? We can have those conversations, but only when people are sincere and honest and knowledgeable. We can look at the pay. There are about 4 or 5 items. An intern should not be on call. Okay? If you think it's something, a conversation you can have, then you move that allowance. And so then you find you have 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, 120,000. It's a conversation we can have, but not a blanket thing that from 200 up to 70. What is the basis of the 70? Why not 50? Why not 40? Why can't they tell interns, nyinyi ni watoto mnasaidiwa na serikali? In fact, we are employing you next year, after 1 year. In fact, we shall sponsor, somebody was telling me, we shall sponsor you for postgraduate.
Yes.
You should be thankful. Do this thing for free. Why not free? Why 70? Why 70?
We need to look at the figure.
Why 70? Why not free? There's a good reason for them to work for free. Training to be a doctor is a very expensive affair. Did you pay your money yourself? Most of you do doctors, call them in a room. Nyinyi, wewe ulilipa fees 6 million. Wewe ulilipa hapana, wewe ulilipa hapana. Peter Pandepa, hukulipa zindio yeye. But you must be sincere. Then you tell them, look here, you should be grateful to your country. You do this thing for free. Next year we are employing you. 2, 3, 4 years, we shall allow you to go on full salary for postgraduate training, locally and abroad. You can have a conversation. Who says you can't have that conversation?
But it needs sincerity, it needs honesty, and it needs knowledgeable people. You
must have the knowledge. You must know what you are talking about. You must understand how the profession works. Why is this internship critical to the medical profession? Why are interns treated the way they are treated globally? Why do they need those allowances? Which allowances can we do away with? What sacrifices can the interns be convinced to make in a country where everybody is now on the saving mode? Again, people must also be on the saving mode. You can't tell it's a class of Kenyans to tighten their belts and you don't even loosen yours, you cut it and throw it away. I don't know what I'm saying.
So you need a serious conversation which is honest and sincere.
Honest, sincere, and from an informed position.
All right.
From professionals, from experienced people. I've mentioned Inyikal, and there are others like Inyikal. The government can learn from them a lot. And they can handle, this is a very, very small thing. In fact, once the government comes up with the conversation, do you know even the people who go and train outside? They have the money to go outside and pay millions of shillings. When they come back, they want to be interns. They want the government to pay them. You know, these are conversations you can have. If you could afford to go and pay for medicine training in America, why do you want a poor country now to pay you 200,000? You could afford 20 million, 30 million, 15 million in Russia to become a doctor. Now you come here as an intern. You want this poor country to pay you 200,000. Honest conversation will yield results from people who are honest and sincere and operating from an informed position.
Thanks for tuning in to that conversation all about honesty, sincerity, and information from our cabinet ministers. Until we do talk again, please tell me, do you think these doctors deserve 200,000? Do you think the government is bloated and they cannot afford to pay them? Leave a comment down below. Till we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.
Good.